right now.
According to our.
On the western part of Virginia, it was,
Okay. All right, I'd like to open this
317.
public hearing up for the grant application designating certifying official office of homes and community renewal, community development block grant program. Is there anybody that would like to say anything in reference to that?
Came from info, that's all.
that's it.
It'll be very, very dull 5 minutes. And then an even duller 5 minutes after that.
Then comes $1 an hour after that.
Well, we'll give them a minute or so to see.
But next year, the
screen is distracting from your charming face, you know. So if you. Yeah, it's much better.
Too much glare now. You guys need to get some hair club for men, as long as you invite me too.
It's a buff on mine.
Hurts though, when it gets red.
It's hard to keep the skin in good shape.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Seems to be a common problem around here.
Look in the water.
Huh?
In the water.
I think Robin Losky's retired.
Yeah, I think you are.
Robin Losky's gonna retire?
Yeah.
It was.
My back
You have
is red,
to
but
take
retired.
copper. You think it's copper? No, not that guy.
That's a bigger roll on mine.
We got enough for a quorum.
Or do you have one?
Where's Ken?
And now you can drive back because my mother first came in on Sunday. My daughter's home.
How long is this show? Is it?
This is last year's.
Like 8 something. Begin at the front.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't cut down through Pennsylvania. I used to go 88 to 81.
So what do we got?
Now I'm down to 87.
36.
278 to 78. 78.
137.
Missed 3/4 of Pennsylvania. Then I cut back across on the 17th, so I was over his way.
Yeah. You want to go to Maryland?
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Tom Glenn.
Haven't done that in years. Used to.
Tom Mohawk.
That's 15, right? 15?
Now,
How long did you get to work reach?
the first day, you know, these guys, they're talking about every time it's a rest area. First day I drive about 500 miles, and the second day,
Need one more.
like 6 hours. I can coast in at 4 o'clock. On the second day. That's the first day. It's like that last day. And then I do the same thing when I come home. I come from Myrtle Beach. I go all the way to Hagerstown. First night. I stop there and cruise on 6 days. What? There was a couple of days when the house fixed on it. Backed up for, it seemed to be hours.
Is it? Really?
He's not literate.
They're good, I think, for the service. Because they're like 10 to 15 degrees lower than normal.
Going down there.
It's cold, bad weather.
Oh, no.
First time, I think this is the worst it's ever been in all the years. But it's still good. My wife sees the beach and she lives right
We got two? What do we got?
One public hearing and one special meeting, too.
I don't even, I threw everything out. Oh, I was cleaning.
You're supposed to do it after.
You don't realize how much paper you accumulate.
They're doing well.
I mean, it's like,
Bonus.
I had to buy another file pen.
No. You know how they use that?
My file,
Yeah.
too much. I still sold them from the Ada board.
I guess you gotta do it.
Going way back. As a matter of fact, going back to 1980. Then I got all these scrapbooks where everybody ripped me apart, all the editorials.
Yeah. Or if you stay in the older. Okay.
Yeah.
She called and I just said, but I could take a pretty educated guess.
When is a special meeting? 5 of us? 6?
Okay, 5:55 special meeting.
That's just going right now.
I got 5:57. I got 5:57.
Okay, if we have no public comment, we will close out the period for public comment. Please stand for the pledge. Supervisor Shara, would you do
I
that?
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty and
justice.
justice for all.
Here.
Supervisor Greco.
Here.
Supervisor Stark.
Here.
Supervisor Barone. Absent. Supervisor Wheeler. Absent. Supervisor Trier.
Here.
Supervisor DeMessa. Absent. Supervisor Allen.
Here.
Supervisor Sullivan. Absent. Supervisor Strebe.
Here.
Supervisor Coddington.
Here.
Supervisor Quackenbush. Absent. Supervisor Radzikowski.
Here.
Supervisor Sweet. Chairman Dare.
Here.
Supervisor Stagliano.
Here. Purpose of the sole purpose of the meeting is resolution number 89. It's a resolution authorizing chairman to sign grant application and designating certifying official office of Home and Community Renewal, Community Development Block Grant Program, Micro Enterprise Program, Economic Development and Planning. It's sponsored by Quackenbush and seconded by Chiara. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Resolution is passed. Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Sweet, Supervisor Chiara. In favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
You read too slow.
And the first one up, I believe, is Supervisor Benazir.
Yes.
Yes, that's.
What time is that?
5:59.
They kept telling us they were gonna give us 3 months.
Don't you handle it if he's not here?
I got one, I got one already.
Good, Cheryl doesn't let me know if I'm in. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, I actually received shit right from the
3 o'clock, can you be at the solid waste? I'll send you an email.
3 o'clock, what day?
23rd.
23rd.
So we'll be talking on the 23rd. We'll make one meeting. I'll send you an email.
You can open this meeting.
Yes.
How's that? So you wanted to go small? Why didn't they start picking it up?
Mm-hmm. 6:09.
Well, I don't know what happened with Supervisor DeMeza, but I'll sit in his stead to conduct this committee. Economic Development and Planning. Discussion, anything the committee members would like to bring up concerning economic development and planning? Hearing none, we'll move along. First up, resolution appointing members, Fulton Montgomery Schoharie Workforce Development. It's already got a sponsor, Supervisor Coddington. We need a second. Supervisor Stark, I saw your hand first. Discussion? Wishes of the committee? Obviously, it looks like we have a couple of vacancies. And are the names at the bottom filling those vacancies?
No,
No.
these are replacements for people that are resigning.
Right.
One is Mr. Swanger, and there was, I think her name is Carla, Julia Carl is being replaced for Beasley Rodriguez.
All right. So wishes of the committee? Move it. Next up is a resolution appointing members of the Montgomery County Planning Board, sponsored by Supervisor DeMeza. We need a second. Supervisor Grieco. Discussion? Hearing none, wishes of the committee? Move it. And then last up is a resolution scheduling 30-day public review period, Montgomery County Agricultural District Number 1, sponsored by Supervisor DeMeza. We have a second, Supervisor Stark. Discussion? Move it. Wishes of the committee? Move it. Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Raskowski, Supervisor Stark, second. We are adjourned.
Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Education and Government Committee to order. Any discussion items besides me? I think at the last meeting, committee meeting we had, I think it was decided we were going to be the ones that do the administrative code. Is that correct? I'd like to schedule a meeting for June 4th at 6 o'clock here, if the room's available. And what I've done so far, what I've been in the process of doing is I've taken our Montgomery County Charter, and I think it has to be done by section, the introductory section and the executive section, the legislative section, and so on, each department. And each one of those departments, I think we'll take one at a time, and what I'll do, I'll give you the segments of the Montgomery County Charter, and also I'll give you the sections of the administrative code from 3 other counties. We'll use those as kind of guides to do our code with. And I talked to the NISEC, Mark Levine, 2-3 times, and he recommended I call Beatrice Hebronic, we call it B. Hebronic, in Ulster County, because they just completed the administrative code in 2008. And I talked to her about it, and she had a lot of information, and in fact, at the camp up here in Fulton County, said we're having a meeting, one of our meetings scheduled. If you'd like her to come to the meeting, she'd be more than glad to come and answer any questions we may have, or help us any way we want her to. Seemed to be very interested, very willing to do that. Secondly, the local laws that are being, I don't know, do you know if they came back yet?
No, we haven't done that.
I talked to Dan last week, and he said, look, probably about, I think I was there last Friday or Thursday, Friday, said it'd be about a week and the local laws would be done. They should be posted shortly after that. And the local laws, and when they done it in Ulster County also, when they done each department, let's just use the personnel department. They took the local laws from the personnel department that have been passed over the last, how many years? Anything that was done with local laws, any of those that are in conflict with the charter, the committee also went through that, also looked at them. And anything was in conflict, they took out. And then the county attorney, which is Mrs. Veronica there, she checked them over and made sure that that was the correct thing to do. I think we can go through them, and I think the laws, I think that we think are in conflict, or we could give them to Doug. I think Doug could probably take a look at them for us and make a decision as to whether they should be repealed or not, or taken out. Because in the Ulster County, of course, you got to remember Ulster County's got 188,000 people. So it's a lot bigger than us, a lot more laws and so on. But they have, the last page of their administrative code, or the back of it, I think there's 4 pages of laws that were repealed that were in conflict with the charter. And that's what they did. So anybody else has any other suggestions beyond that, that's kind of what I planned on doing. So if anybody has any comments, you're welcome to.
Yeah, Chair, when you said the local laws, you're talking about the ones that we're having.
Yes, the ones we're having
Scanned.
digitized, yeah, scanned, yeah.
Okay.
And they had them sorted too by Ulster County, because they have a lot more than we do, obviously. But they have them sorted by department, you know, that's kind of, they've done that, you know. But they're going to be available online, and members of the committee could read online. We could, you know, kind of give one of us one department, one another. We can kind of take, you know, find the local laws that we think that are, you know, do something like that, I think. But I'm going to work that out. And you'll be getting in your boxes at the supervisor's office. You'll be getting these packets, like I say, with that section. I don't know how many sections. You're not going to do it like some sections, like some of them sections you can do in I think 20 minutes. They're a great little bit too. Even the Ulster County code, like just 1 page, the administrative code. Ulster County, for a big county, 188,000 people, has a fairly thin code. I mean, it's not. It's a definitive, but it's not a rambling, long type of thing, you know. And also, you'll have the code in there from Sullivan County, you'll have the code from Ulster County and Oneida County. That's the 3 that seem to be. Because I had one from Herkimer County, that's only 13 pages long, but I don't think that's, they don't have a county executive and so on. I don't think would fit our purposes properly. Any other comments?
Sure.
Yes.
What day did you say you intend to do that?
June 4th at 6, or is there something else?
That would be a Tuesday.
Yes.
Yes, I did have something I was going to try to do that night.
Oh, you will have a special.
Not here, it was going to be at the Canterbury High School.
Oh.
That might change that.
Yeah, that would.
Same people that were going to be invited to that are probably going to be here.
All right. Well, we could probably. How many committee members are available on Monday night? You can do Monday? Right. Nobody has town board meeting? I could do it on Monday. That'd be what, June the 3rd, I believe. Yeah, June the 3rd. That's the week after we're by the holiday weekend, yeah. Okay, let's figure in June the 3rd then. It's 6 o'clock here. 6 o'clock? 6 o'clock, yeah. And any supervisor, you know, is welcome. Obviously, the public's welcome. Anybody, it's a public meeting. Anybody's welcome to come. And I would, in fact, I'd encourage other supervisors to come.
Chair, if you want to start earlier, that's fine.
Yeah, I'd start 4 o'clock myself. I mean, I'd start anytime. It makes a difference to me.
Yeah, I'd start early.
I'd start early, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock then?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Oh, good. That's great. I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know if everybody was available at that time. Like, yeah, most of us.
I do work.
Well,
Oh, I call it.
There's a problem with that.
at what time could you be available, Jeff?
You know, 6 was, you see, I had trouble making 6 sometimes, but, you know, 5, 5:30, where's the road?
Yeah, you can cut out that day a little bit early. You'll find an excuse.
That's fine, whatever time he can make it is,
Yeah, that's fine. We'll get rolling at 4 o'clock. And you pop in as soon as you can. Because the first,
Yeah, nothing's gonna be fine.
I would assume that you want to start at the front of that charter and work into it. I mean, you don't want to jump around, because the first things you're going to come to are the introduction to it, which is pretty simple, but then it's the executive section and the legislative section. That's going to be your 2 most difficult sections.
yeah.
And so I think them 2 you're going to have to, you know, so we'll jump into them first thing. Then we'll go, like I say, go through the department. Just as they're in the order during the Montgomery County Charter, that's the order we'll do from front to back. I think it's the best way. And if you don't get the administrative code done by first of the year, the new legislature can continue on. It's not something that has to be done by us or them. It can be done. It took Ulster County 18 months. But like I say, once again, you're into a big county. They have all kinds of departments. I think they have 16 departments I counted that we don't even have. You know, they have an aviation department and a college oversight committee. Okay, we're all set on that then.
What time?
Monday, June 3rd, 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock.
Very good, thank you. Okay, on the agenda, we have a resolution amending 2013 operating budget, temporary employees, Board of Elections. I sponsored that. Can I have a second? Brian Sweet. Okay. Any questions? Jamie's there if you have any questions of Board of Elections. Okay. What's your wishes? Move it. I think I jumped one ahead there. No, yeah, temporary employees, that's the one. Yeah, okay, that's right. That's the second. The second one's amending the operating budget for special supply Board of Elections. And I have a second on that. Supervisor Stark. Okay, any discussion? Wishes of the committee? Anything else under other? I do have one thing under other. What's your feeling on this early voting? I've been asked about that several times. I totally agree with you, John, but I'm just getting a feel of the committee. Do you want to have a resolution sent on to the state? That's the question. I believe the assembly, but I read right the paper, they're taking it up right now.
I believe so.
Am I correct?
That's what I read.
Yeah, I think that seems to be what's going on right now, so if you want to have a resolution, you know, now's your chance.
Would you like to present it from the floor? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So that we can get it through our meeting this month?
Yes.
And obviously, it'll probably be law by the time we get our resolution, but
Well, that's what I'm saying. I was just aware, you know, I wasn't aware that they were, it was moving along that fast on the Albany end until, like I say, I read it in the paper, probably like everybody else. What's the general consensus, Chair? Like, does it have a chance? Or, you know, is it something that's seriously considering passing, or is it just waffling its way through? Well, I don't know. What I understand, counties want the option to opt out. That's, as I understand, that's what I'd like to see us have, the option to opt out. I mean, some county downstate, I mean, they want to, you know, big counties, they want to have the,
Doesn't mean we can't send a letter.
but I think it's just going to cost us more money, and you know, a county this size, we don't need it, I don't think. That's my feeling.
I'm glad to sponsor a resolution in opposition to it, if that's the direction you want to go.
I'd be more than glad to second it.
Okay. And we can draft the language up. I don't know if you're going to get a lot of support from some of our Democratic brethren on the board, but
Well, it's like any other resolution, you know? You vote on it, if it passes, if it doesn't, it doesn't. That's that simple, but. So that's the wishes of the committee then, to move that resolution, move a resolution on the board. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Yep.
Michael.
What do I have?
Herbie. Yeah, Herbie, that's right.
Tire.
Good tell you. You got it. Thank you,
They deny the fact that they think that it brings more Democrats out on early voting, so it's refuted by Republicans, just in general. That's,
I just think it brings more
no, because I just read it. Somebody said, no, that's not the reason. I was thinking, that is the reason. But, you know, the worst part is, I think the state wants to pick up the tab, or I think the legislation says the state's gonna pick up the tab for this. But I've never seen any long lines. If I was in the South and I saw those lines for 8 hours, I'd say, yeah, you better get some early voting going, you know? But I've never seen a line that lasted more than 3 minutes for me, so.
Either.
Got some work from one. So opting out is, you know, would be advantageous.
That's my
You know?
All righty, we'll call the Public Safety Committee to order. First thing on the agenda, discussion, privilege of the committee chair, committee members, anything from the committee or other supervisors. We'll move on. We've got Mr. Marcel here tonight and wants to discuss legal aid issue. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Jim, I received the facts from the sheriff with regard to the resolution that was passed. And I looked it over, and I had some questions when I reviewed it. I wasn't 100% clear what was being required of the public defender due to the policy at the jail. If I could just, I'll be as brief as I can, but I would like to just address. I'm not sure what's being requested. I know the sheriff has a Lexus database. It's my understanding that his database costs him about $6,000 a year, something like that. 5,000, I don't know, 4,000. My database that I have with Lexus costs me $600 a year. And I've been using that as a public defender since I've been in as a public defender. And that's been adequate for me. And so the question I have is, if the sheriff doesn't have it, what's being requested of an inmate, and the request is forwarded to me, are they asking me, do I have it in my office? And I can tell you right now, if that's the request, my database is 1/10 of what the sheriff has. So if the sheriff doesn't have it in his database, I don't. I know there's a reference in there to FMCC, that the facility, I think the sheriff's facility can utilize FMCC. I don't know, are they asking or saying that the public defender should then, if the sheriff doesn't have it, or the inmate's counsel, lawyer doesn't have it, then the public defender is supposed to go up to FMCC and do research. I don't know if that's what's being requested. But if it is, I just say that that's really an impossible task. We really have our hands full. But aside from that, it's just really unworkable to expect my office to be going up to FMCC to do legal research. The second point is, what I want to make is this, that at the jail, my office represents probably 60% of the inmates over there, I'm guessing. Of the ones that we don't represent, they are either represented by assigned counsel, because my office has a conflict with those inmates, or they're represented by their own private attorney, okay? And there are certain rules that lawyers are subject to, disciplinary rules. Disciplinary Rule 7.104 prohibits a lawyer from having contact or representing someone who's already represented by counsel. So I can't just engage myself in representing somebody who's in the jail who has a lawyer. And it's my understanding that if we're not representing them, they have a lawyer. And the second disciplinary rule is 1.7, deals with conflicts of interest. I can't represent an inmate that I have a conflict with. If I'm representing a person, I can't then turn around and do work for somebody else, a co-defendant, and help him out while I'm representing his co-defendant. You can't do that. It's a conflict of interest. I'm subject to disciplinary rules that would prohibit me from doing that. And Rule 1.9 says that I have a continuing duty to former clients. So I'm saying that there are rules that prohibit the public defender from getting involved in representing people that we have a conflict of interest with. And I can't give you an exact figure, but I'm guessing almost everybody over at the jail has assigned counsel because we have a conflict with them. There are some that have retained lawyers, but that begs the question. I mean, are we talking common sense? They have a lawyer, but the public defender then becomes responsible for doing legal research for somebody that has a retained lawyer? Is that what this is saying? I mean, it's mind-boggling that I'm expected to do research for somebody with a privately retained lawyer.
Bill, what resolution number is that?
62.
2013?
Yeah.
So one more thing. I don't want to take up too much time. I understand that some of the rationale that was used to pass this resolution, I don't know this for sure, but that Schenectady County was doing this. And I called Mark Caruso, the Schenectady County Public Defender, and I asked him, I said, Mark, are you doing this? And he said no. He said this is what Schenectady County was doing. The sheriff was hiring legal interns from Albany Law School at $12 an hour. And the applicants, the legal interns, Mark was, as a courtesy to the sheriff, interviewing these applicants to determine their qualifications, and then made a recommendation to the sheriff as to who he might want to hire. But the sheriff was doing the hiring, and Mark told me that there's nobody in his office that has ever done this, not him or anybody on his staff. And so I have a proposal, a suggestion. I don't know if the sheriff's not going to probably agree with it, but I would propose that if you need somebody to do the research, hire one of these interns from Albany Law School at $12 an hour. And a way to pay for it is give the inmates back their commissary and charge them an extra 50 cents a candy bar. Well, 50 cents, 75 cents a candy bar, at the end of the week, you would have the money to pay an intern to do this if you needed to do it. I don't know, but look, if money's the reason why you can't, that's the way to get the money. But all I'm saying is that I'm really constrained by the disciplinary rules from engaging and representing people that I have a conflict with. And
But I was under the impression that we could get interns for free if they're supervised by a lawyer. Because we used to talk to them down in the city.
well, Mike, I don't know what I can't answer that. I'm just telling you, Mark Caruso told me what they were doing in Schenectady. He said that they were hiring them at $12 an hour. There are lawyers that send resumes all the time to me, to my office, asking, you know, if they can do work, and I don't know if they're asking, I don't think they want to do it for free. But, so I'm not expecting them to make a decision tonight. but I'm asking you to consider this. I mean, I'm willing to come back and discuss it more, but I'm just telling you, I have problems. 18B of the county law, which is a statutory authorization for the public defender to exist, says that the public defender can represent people charged with a crime who are facing jail. We have never represented anybody civilly, and this resolution seems to say that the public defender should represent people who are charged, who have civil lawsuits to do legal research for them. And that's something we've never done. You know, I think again, I'm not 100% clear in the language of this policy from the jail, but legally, I don't see a way for me to do it. And practically speaking, I don't know if it was being envisioned that my office should spend time with the FMCC, spending a day or two up there researching for people that we don't even represent. So, and I don't know exactly what the procedure would be to get this undone, but I guess that's what I'm asking, because it's got me on the horns of a dilemma. I do want to be insubordinate to the board, but I don't want to be violating disciplinary rules. I did mention this to a lawyer from the Office of Indigent Legal Services, which was formed a couple of years ago, and they have now oversight over offices throughout the state. And he shook his head; he couldn't believe it. And I said, "Well, I don't know. You know, I didn't have any input in this, so I just, you know, as a practical matter and as a legal matter, I just don't see how we could fulfill this obligation."
Did this originate from someplace other than here, Sheriff?
What originated?
This resolution or the policy. Is there another county? Is Schenectady County doing this?
Well, Schenectady County, the jail administrator has paperwork. Let me give you a little brief history, okay? We used to, when an inmate would request legal research that we couldn't do because we don't have the staff that knows how to do it, and our books are limited too. We used to use books. We've gone to LexisNexis, like Bill said. But when we couldn't get the information they needed out of the system that we had, we would then provide it to the county court. And the last time we did that was about a year ago, I believe. And the inmate wanted information. It was one of these inmates that felt that they were a jailhouse attorney, asked for a lot of information. We sent it to the judge, and we've got the first stack of paperwork. They were concerned about how much stuff this person was asking for. And then it was all brought up. I'm going to defer to the jail administrator because he had a conversation with the judge and how this went down with why they're not doing it anymore.
It was back in 2012, and well, prior to that, what I used to do was I would send the information down, or request for information down to Judge Sykes. And Judge Sykes was more than gracious, would supply the materials, and we would just give the information to the inmate. I had a conversation one time with Judge Katina, and Judge Katina said most of that information should actually be going through him. So that's fine. So anytime I received a request from an inmate for additional materials that we did not have, I'd forward it to Judge Katina. Well, the sheriff said we had an inmate who was requiring voluminous amounts of information and substantial information, and Judge Katina had forwarded it to the law librarian for the 4th Judicial District, and she's actually housed out of Schenectady. And she's the one at the time who had said that this is an inmate who was requiring, I think the term was complicated legal research, and so at that point, both the judges, county court judges, said we have to reach some sort of resolution on this, and I was kind of pushing it, you know, and the sheriff as well, just based on the fact that there is a standard, and that regardless of who represents whom, I guess at the jail, realistically, we have to make certain information and legal research materials available to the inmates so they can assist in their own defense. So that's really what some of the dilemma is. We did have a paper library. It contained pretty much the minimum that we were supposed to have for them. And again, any information that they requested that we did not have, they should send it to the court. So this kind of started this whole thing rolling, and I was kind of in contact with the judges trying to get this going. They actually invited the law librarian from the 4th Judicial District in. We had a meeting, Mr. Landon was there, and we talked about all this, and we tried to reach some resolution, and she's the one who actually brought what it is policies and procedures for a New York State Supreme Court law library judicial building, and she brought in a copy of the Schenectady County, and it read that anything that, I can tell you, library service to Schenectady County jail inmates, the following policy approved by the Board of Trustees, and if an inmate confined in the Schenectady County Jail or subject to charges pending in the Schenectady County Jail can request copies of specific cases, statutes, or other legal material by submitting a request to the Schenectady County Public Defender's Office. So that was directly from their policy. And so both judges agreed, and everybody agreed that we should draft a policy within Montgomery County that would mirror something like that. And I didn't do a research of everybody in New York State, but at the time, that's what she had said, that most counties did that. Anytime information was not available in a library at a correctional facility, they would forward it on to the public defender in that county. That's what I was told, but did not.
So how often does this happen?
Oh, it depends.
I mean,
It doesn't happen that often. The problem we have with this situation is what was called to light, because this inmate asked for a lot of information, and when we didn't provide it quick enough for him, he grieved it to the state. The state agreed with us at first. He appealed it, went to the appeal board down the state. The state said that, the appeal board said no, the inmate had rights to that stuff within 2 days.
It depends. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I used to probably send it down to Judge Seiss. Maybe there were 10 a year, maybe, on an average. So not huge amounts of material. For the most part, he would probably type it in his system or have one of his clerks type it in his system. And again, send me all the paper and there was no issue. And I certainly understand Judge Katina is the one who should be filtering that information. So that's all I did was I just changed the direction a little bit, never thinking it would be a huge problem. So what we wanted to do is, we had to draft a policy, and make a determination, for the future. And again, so what we did is we did upgrade our system, and now quarterly we have actually a remote hard drive brought in and plug it into our system, and inmates have access to that on the computer, and that stuff is obviously updated quarterly, so it's better than most of the printed materials. And we talked about a lot of things. We talked still about using the legal library at the courthouse, and there was a problem with the security there and the issues. And then we still had to have a backup should there be information that's not updated on our system. And so what we put in for the public defender, because again, other counties had done that. And then we also did make a reference, and the reference to FMCC was just that would be an additional resource. Now FMCC, criminal justice people there said they can't necessarily open up their contract with LexisNexis to include us and inmate requests. However, they said they would assist us should there be some sort of research that needs to be done, and they could find a student who would have access and would be able to use the law library. They have an extensive system in the library, yet they certainly could not open it up to inmates or security traffic in and out of there. So that was what the reference was in our policy. But it was again, the 4th Judicial District Law Librarian is the one who said that the public defender's offices were going to act as that secondary line of defense when an inmate wants information. It's not necessarily, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know about the research aspect of it, but it's make the information available to them. We don't interpret anything, we just give them the information, and they're the ones who use that, in helping their own defense.
Well, if I could say, that again, I talked to the public defender, Mark Caruso, who has been in that office for as long as I have here, I think, and he told me flat out there was no one in his office that had ever done research for the sheriff. The only thing he's done is interviewed applicants, and so, and that still doesn't eliminate the problem that I have I'm subject to the disciplinary rules. I once called the professional committee on professional conduct, because I had an issue in my office about 14 years ago, 13 years ago, and because it was an employee in my office. And I got a letter